Are they ghosts, aliens, demons, or just the stuff of digital folklore? Brace yourself, because in this video we're gonna talk about the creepiest black-eyed children encounters ever reported. And I'm your host, Alina. Let's get into it. Back in 1996, a man named Brian Bethel had a terrifying encounter that would kickstart one of the internet's creepiest urban legends, the black-eyed children. Two boys approached his car asking for a ride, but when he looked into their eyes, he saw no whites, no pupils, just darkness. He floored it. And since then, similar stories have exploded across forums and chat rooms. And hey, if you hear a knock while watching this, maybe don't answer. Okay, listen, I wasn't gonna tell you this story at night, but here we are. So if you're watching this alone, maybe don't. Or do. I don't know your life. Just don't blame me if your lights start flickering halfway through. So, this all starts back in September 2014 in a place called Cannock Chase in Staffordshire, England. Real chill countryside vibes, right? Wrong. A newspaper over there, the Daily Star, paged stories about this little girl dressed in white, super creepy, and they called her the black-eyed girl. Not just like had dark eyes, like her entire eyeballs were black. No whites, no pupils, just empty, haunted, soul-sucking voids. Casual. Anyway, a paranormal investigator named Lee Brickley started looking into it. He talks to this local woman who said she was out walking with her daughter the other day when she heard this blood-curdling scream. She thought it was a kid in danger, like full-on help me scream. So obviously she goes running toward it, being a decent human. She doesn't see anyone at first. It's quiet, too quiet. And then she turns around and there's a girl in white just standing behind. And here's the weirdest part. This girl has her hands over her face, like she's playing peekaboo, or as the woman described it, like she was waiting for a birthday cake. I'm sorry, that's nightmare fuel. So the woman's like, hey, are you okay? And that's when the girl moves her hands and reveals her completely dark eye. The woman freaks out, obviously. She grabs her daughter, backs away, and when she looks again, the girl is gone. No footsteps, no rustling. But wait, it gets worse. Turns out this wasn't the first time someone saw her. Lee, the paranormal guy, says his aunt saw the same girl 30 years earlier in 1982. Same forest, same area. His aunt had heard a girl yelling for help too. She followed the voice and saw a girl in white running away. So she catches up to her, puts her hand on her shoulder, and the girl turns around and yup, black eyes again. And then she just runs off into the woods and vanishes. Now, fast forward to 2015. Someone's flying a drone over Cannock Chase, just vibing. And they upload the footage to YouTube. People start commenting like, is that a girl in white in the background? And sure enough, there's this little figure, pale, still, looks just like the descriptions. And because we are apparently living in a ghost documentary now, a medium named Kristen Hamlet came forward and said she actually got a photo of the girl. She believes the spirit is from the Victorian era, a child who died from diphtheria, which can cause this weird eye paralysis thing that makes your eyes go all dark and sunk. So basically, if you ever visit Cannock Chase and hear a child screaming, maybe don't follow it. Just walk the other way. And if you do see a little girl in white waiting for her birthday cake, just run. Okay, so this story is given straight up short horror film with no resolution. Love that for us. This happened way back in 1974. So yes, it's vintage creepy. And it all went down in a tiny little village in Ain, France. I looked it up. It's cute, peaceful. The kind of place where you'd expect baguettes and flower carts, not demonic children with voids for eyeballs. Anyway, this story comes from paranormal researcher David Weatherly, but the original investigation was done by these two guys, Joel Messnard and Jean-Marie Bigorn, who sound like they'd either write poetry or fight ghosts for a living. No in between. So two regular guys, Alan G and Patrick V, are out driving around, just vibing through the countryside. You know, casual village cruise. They stop this car in front of this house to turn around. Totally normal, until they look into the courtyard and see 5 figures just standing there, silently watching them. Just staring. And here's where the uncanny kicks in. These figures were about 4 feet tall, all dressed in the same long robe-y garments with waist-length hair, like they all just walked out of the same ghostly hair commercial. Oh no, the eyes were pitch black. No whites, no pupils, just black. Like something crawled out of the underworld and dressed up like a kid, black. And one of them, because there's always a ringleader, starts gesturing to them, like, come on in, step into the murder courtyard. Alan and Patrick were like, absolutely not, and did what any reasonable person would do. They napped out of there immediately, hit the gas, flew out of that village like it owned the money. But because horror movie logic is international, they came back later with friends, because apparently bringing a couple more people makes ghost children less terrifying. Anyway, when they returned, nothing. No black-eyed kids, no cloaks, no welcome to the abyss hand gestures. Just regular empty courtyard like it never happened. But here's the kicker. When investigators started asking around, one of the neighbors was like, oh yeah, I saw those weird little kids too. He said he'd seen them playing in the road. Like what? What kind of neighborhood is this? You're out watering your garden and you look up and it's just 5 hunted hobbits doing double dutch in your cul-de-sac? And that's it, that's the whole story. No one knows who or what they were. They never showed up again. So, just a reminder, if you're ever out in rural France and you see some tiny figures with black eyes waving at you to come closer, don't. But do subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video. Alright, so if you thought the last story was messed up, buckle up, cause this one takes us to a literal military base and somehow makes it even creepier. So picture this: Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, November 2009. A US Marine who, for very understandable reasons, chose to stay anonymous, had an encounter that sounds like it came straight out of a horror movie. He's in his barracks room one evening, just vibing, watching a movie, minding his own business. You know, the peaceful moment when everything's chill and quiet and you finally get to relax. Yeah, well, that didn't last. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. He thinks, okay, that's just my roommate who forgot his key again. So without even looking through the peephole or anything, he opens the door. And it's not his roommate. It's 2 kids just standing there outside his room on a military base in the dark. But here's where it gets next level. The second he sees them, he says this overwhelming feeling of dread hits him, like instinct level fear, like his body was just screaming, nope. And then he notices their eyes, pitch black, entire eyeballs, no whites, no pupils, just voids. Again, these creepy little kids stare right at him, totally unfazed, and one of them says, it's cold out here, we want to come in and read. I'm sorry, come in and read? On a military base? Are y'all ghost librarians or what? And this Marine, who has literally been trained for combat, suddenly realizes there's no one else around. Just him and these 2 black-eyed mini demons on his doorstep. The kids take a step forward, and that's when his brain finally goes slam the door. So he does. He just shuts it immediately. But it doesn't end there. Oh no. The knocking continues for minutes. And then the window starts rattling, like something or someone is trying to get in. Eventually it all stops. Silence. He looks outside. The kids are gone. The next morning he starts casually asking around like, hey, did anyone else see anything weird last night? And everyone's like, nah man, nothing. No one saw them. No one heard a thing. Which somehow makes it worse. Because what did he let get that close? So yeah, moral of the story. If you're on a military base and someone knocks on your door and saying they want to come in and read, don't open it. Okay, I've got another one for you, and this one gave me the ick in ways I was not prepared for. So this happened to a woman named Carrie Kistner. She was 20 at that time, just a regular college student at Wake Tech in North Carolina. One afternoon, she's heading home after classes when she decides to take a little tour and stop by Triangle Town Center Mall. Normal day, minding her business. No signs from the universe saying, hey, you're about to enter a horror story. But she was. So she visits the mall, does her thing, and then heads back to her car in the parking lot. And that's when she sees them. There's this boy, looked about 12, standing with an older woman. At first it's like, oh, grandma and grandson. Cute, right? Wrong. The vibes were so off. The kid looked sick, like weirdly pale with dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept in years. And he wasn't standing like a normal kid either. He was all stiff and awkward. And the woman, this sweet-looking older lady, is digging around in her purse like she's trying to find something for him. Money, tissues, holy water? Unclear. But here's where it gets weird. Carrie suddenly realizes there's hardly anyone around. Like the whole parking lot went silent. She gets that gut drop feeling. Like her instincts kicked in and were screaming, get in your car now. So she starts walking faster. Not running, but you know that fast walk you do when you're trying to act normal but you're internally panicking. Yeah, that one. And as she's passing them, the boy looks up and he locks eyes with her. And his eyes, yeah, solid black. No pupils, no soul, just two bottomless holes in his face. She stares back for a second, because of course she does. You can't not stare at that. And she says she suddenly got this awful feeling, like the kid could literally read her mind. Like he knew exactly what she was thinking. About him, about this whole thing, like he was inside her head. She breaks the stair, rushes to her car, probably about to throw herself into it like it's a getaway vehicle. And just as she's pulling away, she looks back. And the boy, he just turns and walks off. Wait for whatever the old lady was trying to give him. Like he got what he needed already. Like he just came there to see her. So yeah, if you're ever walking through a quiet parking lot and see a weirdly pale kid staring you down with demon eyes, just don't make an eye contact. Or do. I mean, I won't stop you, but don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, so if you thought the black-eyed girl in the woods was bad, let me introduce you to the ghost girl of Hampton Court Palace, who may or may not be the ghost of a beheaded queen. So picture this. It's the year 1542, and Catherine Howard, King Henry VIII's fifth wife, is 21 years old and about to be executed. Technically an adult, sure, but people say her ghost looks more like a child with pitch black eyes, because of course it does, because we can't have nice things. Now fast forward to recent times. A 45-year-old man named Trevor Tyre, he's a coach driver just minding his business, drops his tour group off at Hampton Court Palace, which is already spooky enough, let's be real. While he's waiting, he figures, I'll take a few photos of the palace. Why not? Looks cool. So he snaps some pictures. Nothing weird or creepy at the time. Totally normal. Until he gets home. He's going through the photos with a friend, and suddenly they're like, who who's this girl? There's this figure kneeling on the gallery floor, peering over the railing, and she's got these black eyes, just like the Cannock Chase girl. And she's dressed in white, because of course she is. Why are they always dressed in white? Here's where the legend gets extra chilling. Back in the day, after Catherine was imprisoned at Hampton Court for, allegedly cheating on King Henry VIII, she apparently escaped her guards for a hot second and sprinted down that very hallway, begging to see the king. Just wanted to plead for her life. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. And now, that hallway is where people keep seeing the black-eyed ghost. Like, what if she never really left? And it's not just Trevor seeing her. Staff at Hampton Court have said this girl have been spotted multiple times over the years. Same hallway, same creepy vibes, always black eyes, always that gown. So whether it's Catherine Howard still trying to get the king's attention from beyond the grave, or some other tragic black-eyed specter, one thing's for sure: if you're visiting Hampton Court and you see a little girl in white just kneeling alone and staring at you, maybe don't stick around to find out who she is. But do stick around for this next story that I'm about to tell you. And if you're still watching and haven't subscribed yet, then what are you doing? Subscribe to my channel. This story started with a post that popped up online back in January 2016. It came from a woman, no name, no location at first. But she later said she lived in Vermont, and she claimed that she didn't just see black-eyed children, she led them into her house. Yeah, I know. Why do people do this? Anyway, it was about a year before she shared her story. One night, in the middle of a full-on blizzard, she and her husband were at home when they heard this aggressive banging on their front door. Not like a polite knock, like the kind of knock that makes your stomach drop. She looked out of the window expecting to see someone who crashed their car in the snow. But here's the thing: there were footprints leading to the door and no car anywhere. So now she's feeling uneasy, understandably. She wakes up her husband. The knocking still going, so he goes to open the door. And standing there are two kids, a boy and a girl, both around 8 years old. But here's the weird part: they're not dressed for a blizzard. No coats, no gloves, not even shivering. And the woman says she immediately felt that something was wrong, and yet she lets them in. They go into the living room, and as they walk by, her cat freaks out. One starts hissing like he's staring into the pits of hell. Red flag number 576. Trying to play the good host, she offers to make them some hot cocoa. She tries asking them questions. Where are your parents? Are you okay? And they just keep repeating the same thing. Our parents will be here soon. That's it. No motion, just creepy little echo chamber robots. Then she brings in the cocoa and they look up to take the mugs, and she sees their eyes. Solid black, no whites, no irises, just big, glossy, endless darkness. And then, right after that, they say in unison, "Can we use the bathroom?" The woman tries to stay calm and points them to the bathroom. The second they disappear down the hall, her husband's nose starts bleeding. And then the power goes out. So now she's stumbling around in the dark trying to find the tissues when she notices something. The kids are just standing at the end of the hallway, not moving, not speaking, just staring. And then out of nowhere they say, "Our parents are here." They walk to the front door, open it themselves, and leave. When she looks out to see where they are going, she sees them getting into a black car, and next to the car, two tall men in black suits just standing there. No words, no waves. They just get in a car with the kids and drive away into the snowstorm like this is totally normal. Oh, but it doesn't end there. Over the next few months, her husband is diagnosed with aggressive skin cancer. She starts getting frequent nosebleeds and says her health completely spiraled. She wouldn't go into detail, but she said she was in the worst condition of her life. And she is 100% convinced it all started that night. That letting those kids in did something. So yeah, if you ever hear a knock at your door during a snowstorm and see two tiny strangers in summer clothes, don't be a hero. Don't open, don't let them in. And if they say our parents are coming, run. We are going back to the 1950s for this one. Virginia, small town vibe. Creepy stuff lurking where it shouldn't be. There was the 16-year-old kid. We only know him as Harold. That's it, just Harold. He's walking home one afternoon minding his own teenage business. Probably thinking about homework or milkshakes or whatever boys did in the 50s. And then he sees something. There's another boy. Just standing there, leaning against a fence like he's waiting. But not like, hey man, what's up? Waiting. More like expecting something, not moving. Like a still image burnt into the world. So Harold, being a normal person, tries to say hi. You know, the polite, hey what's up kind of thing. But the other kid, nothing. Doesn't answer, doesn't even twitch. And Harold's like, okay, weird, whatever. And starts to walk away, which is when it gets messed up, because that's when the boy suddenly speaks. I don't know where, it just says, I want to go to your house. You're going to walk me up to your house. I'm sorry? Absolutely not. Stranger danger, my dude. But here's the kicker. Harold looks at him more closely now, and he notices the kid's eyes. They're black. And it gets worse because Harold is like, nope, nope, nope. He starts thinking about running, like full sprint, save your soul kind of running. But before he can even move, the boy speaks again. This time sharper, almost like he knows what Harold's thinking. And he says, no. Don't you run away from me. You're going to walk me up to your house. Excuse me, sir, who gave you access to telepathy? Harold doesn't wait to find out what happens next. He bolts, springs home like his life depends on it, which honestly maybe it did. And as he's running, he hears this sound behind him, a scream. Not a person's scream though, like a bobcat, this human animalistic wail coming from the kid. Harold makes it home completely freaked out and tells his parents what happened. And you'd think they'd be like, nah, Harold's being dramatic again. But no, they believe him. His dad grabs a gun, like immediately, and goes looking for the creepy black-eyed boy. And his mom, she straight up thinks her son just had a run-in with the devil himself. She's like, we are calling the priest now. And that's one of the first ever recorded encounters with the black-eyed children. So next time you're walking alone and see some kid just standing there, remember Harold and don't let them follow you home. Okay, brace yourself because this one still gives me the creeps and I'm not even the one who lived it. This is a story that was shared on Darkness Radio back in 2015, but it actually happened in November of 2012 and it involves, you guessed it, black-eyed children. Yeah, those ones. So picture this, it's the middle of the night, like 3 a.m. witching hour, middle of the night. And there's this lonely gas station off a highway somewhere in northeast Louisiana. You know the kind. Flickering fluorescent lights, nothing but miles of roads and trees around it, totally isolated. There's this poor gas station attendant just doing his job, and then boom, power goes out. All of it gone. Not a flicker, just total suffocating darkness. Now he's probably thinking it's the wind, right? There were heavy gusts that night, so nothing too wild yet. He pulls out his phone, uses the flashlight, makes his way to the backup generator in the back. Thankfully that kicks in, but get this, only some of the lights come back on. Just the parking lot and this creepy little hallway that leads to the register. Everything else still pitch black. And this is where it gets off. He's standing at the window, still probably trying to shrug it off, when he sees something moving just past where the light ends. At first, it's too dark to tell what it is, but after a minute, he realizes it's 3 kids on bikes. 3 children on bikes at 3 in the freaking morning. And as soon as he clocks them, 2 of them hop off and start walking toward the gas station. No talking, no noise, just walking, like they already knew he was there. They stop at a glass door, just standing there, staring at him. Now, at this point, he's uneasy, but trying to be like responsible adult. So he walks over, opens the door a crack, and is like, hey guys, are you okay? It's pretty late to be out there by yourselves. One of them, this little girl, probably around 10, she looks up at him and says, can I use your phone? So he hands her his mobile. But then she looks him in the eyes, and that's when he realizes her eyes are completely black. Before he can even process that, she snaps. No, I need the real one. And she points inside toward the landline phone. Like she somehow knew it was in there. Like she somehow needed to be inside. And that's when something finally clicks for him. Something deep in his gut says, get away. So he slams the door shut and locks it. Doesn't even hesitate. And says something like, you need to go home. The two kids just stand there, still, unmoving, staring at him through the glass. And after what feels like forever, they slowly turn, walk back to their bikes and ride off into the darkness, like nothing happened. Next morning, the guy tells his boss everything and asks to check the security footage. Like obviously, right? But nope, the cameras are completely dead, out during the entire blackout. And to this day, no one knows if that power outage was just a coincidence or if those black-eyed kids had something to do with it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so I don't know if y'all ever had one of those nights where it feels like something's off. Like you're just minding your business, but your gut is screaming, run! Yeah, that's the story. So this guy, we'll call him Noetic because apparently he didn't want to be named. Which fair, considering what he went through. He was working a night shift at this data center in Ohio, and it was July 2010. Humid, gross, you know the vibe. Anyway, it's around 5 a.m. That weird pre-sunrise time where everything feels a little bit too quiet. He steps outside for a smoke break, probably thinking about absolutely nothing, just enjoying the silence, until he sees them, two teenage boys, just standing across the street. Not moving, not talking, just standing. Now, Noetic doesn't even know these kids, but the moment he notices them, his stomach drops. This goosebumpy hair on the back of your neck kind of feeling. And not in a they're just weird teens kind of way, but in a I might die tonight kind of way. So what does he do? He finishes his cigarette in like 2 puffs, hustles back inside, like he's trying not to look like he's hustling, and gets back to work, tries to shake it off. 10 minutes go by, everything's chill. He's probably thinking he overreacted, right? Then, buzz. Front intercom goes off. He looks at the monitor and yup, it's them. The staring twins, right outside. And this little weirdo's not saying a word. Just one of them lifts his hand and motions to the camera, like, come outside. No thanks, Damien. Noetic hits the intercom like, sorry, I'm busy. Gotta do data stuff, leave, and they just keep staring, like full eye contact with the camera, as if they are staring right into his soul through the screen. So 10 more minutes pass, and at this point, Noetic thinks, like, okay, maybe if I just go out there and tell them to leave, they'll get the message. Dumbest horror movie logic ever, but okay, King. He walks to the door, but doesn't open it right away. Nah, he peeks through the one-way glass first. Smart move. He sees them standing there and thinks they look normal. Except, oh wait, their eyes are completely black. But somehow, he opens the door. And before he can even say anything, one of the boys says, get this, that will not be necessary, sir. We simply need to use your phone. Can you let us in? Like he read his mind. Noetic's like, absolutely not. Nobody's allowed inside. Trying to stay cool, but he's probably dying on the inside. The kids ask again to be let in. Not come in, but be invited in. Sir, are you vampires? Anyway, Noetic's had enough. He pulls out his phone, tells them he's calling the police, and slams the door shut. Goes back to the monitors. Thinks that's the end of it. Wrong! One kid stays at the front door just staring into the camera. Like he's waiting to hunt someone. The other kid just casually walks around the building to the back entrance and starts staring into the other camera. Y'all, they're flanking him. So now Nidek is done playing games. He actually calls the cops, all the while watching these creepy kids on the monitors. But then, poof, they vanish, like literally disappear. He watches them walk into a blind spot on the cameras, and they just never come out the other side. By the time the cops show up at 6 a.m., nothing. No sign of them, like they were never there. So yeah, if two dead-eyed teens asking to be invited in at 5 a.m., you know what to do. This story happened to a guy named Jim Stills. Just a regular dude lived a quiet life, and his one little evening ritual was stepping outside around dusk, lighting up a cigar and just vibing. Nothing fancy, just some peace after a long day. But then it started. He began noticing this boy, a weird boy, always walking down the same street, always around the same time. And at first, Jim just brushed it off, like probably the neighbor's kid being weird. But the kid, he didn't walk right. It was stiff, robotic, like uncanny valley level off. Not quite human, but close enough to make your skin crawl. And the thing is, Jim saw this boy every single night, just pacing the street, same stiff, jerky walk. No parents, no other kids, just him. And listen, Jim tried to ignore it. He really did. But night after night, the unease just kept building. Like something deep in his gut knew this isn't right. He eventually gave up his nightly cigars altogether. He stopped going outside. He just sat by the window with the lights off, watching and waiting. And that boy, he kept showing up every night, just walking, like some glitch in the system. But then he stopped. Weeks passed, then months, and Jim forgot about him. Life went back to normal. He let his guard down. Big mistake. One random evening, Jim decides, what the hell, grabs a cigarette, opens his front door, and he's there. Not down the street, not walking, standing right in front of him. The kid's face is pale. His skin looks waxy, almost fake. The eyes, no, completely black. And the kid goes, "Can I come in?" No emotion, no inflection, just deadpan. Jim doesn't say a word. He just turns and bolts inside, slams the door, locks it, probably reinforces it with a chair or a crucifix or who knows. He doesn't see the boy again after that. But from that night on, Jim never went outside after dark. Not once, not even for a second. So yeah, next time you see a weird kid wandering around your neighborhood at night, maybe just close your blinds, mind your business, and whatever you do, don't open the door. And tell me in the comments what would you do if a creepy kid with black eyes asked to come into your house. And thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure to check out this video right here. And I'll see you there. Bye!